What is up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit Podcast. This podcast brings together individuals from all different backgrounds with all different journeys to share their story, their ups and downs, the things they've been through that have led them to where they're at today. This is in no way a dangerous organization, and
or violent,
whatever. I need to throw that in there because I'm pissed. I'm upset about it.
Okay, anyways, it's a lot of hard work.
I'm not even going to get into that whole situation. But regardless,
we will.
If that is your flavor and something that you're interested in, and hearing these things and how the impact that they've made, definitely check it out. We'd appreciate it. Subscribe to us here on wherever
Spotify,
else. Yeah, all the different platforms. Sorry, that little comment, it got me all fired up, kind of threw me off track. I should have just stayed focused.
Yeah, say your piece.
But at the end of the day, yeah, definitely check it out. If it's not for you, great. Still subscribe and help us out and help us grow.
Just please don't report us.
Yeah,
just leave us alone.
Just don't report it. Yeah, stay away with that crap.
Mind your business.
Yeah, mind your business. But anyways, check us out. As always, we got my man Logan Hyder of Cinema 83 in the house.
Hello. Little Friday afternoon recording.
Yes.
Like it.
And today we have a very special guest for you. Mrs. Savanna Hill.
Hello. Glad to be here. Yes, I'm honored.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. Real quick, so I met Savanna several months ago. It was last summer. Mm-hmm. It's like half a year ago now. Crazy. Wow. And she is with Nashville Fit Magazine.
That's right.
And she's one of the hosts on their podcast. Mm-hmm. And they brought me on as a guest. So if you haven't checked it out, check out Nashville Fit Magazine's podcast. Plugging it for you.
Great day.
Yeah, but it was a good time, and Savanna just was really fun to talk to. I really enjoyed her company, and I was like, we gotta get you on the podcast sometime. So here she is.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
that was a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Because we do a similar thing on the Nashville Fit podcast, not as in-depth as Relentless Pursuit, but we talk about people's stories and what got them to where they were as far as fitness goes and like what they're doing in the community. And hearing your story was so inspiring because it's very real. And that's what, we like to do. So I'm excited to
it was a good time.
Flip the tables or turn whatever that phrase is.
The turntables.
I had a blast. I thought it was going to be like a 30-minute thing like usual, but I think we were there for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you get a good story, right. Not all of them work that way, but because some people are more enthused about telling their story, or maybe people are further down in their story, like have seen their story like develop into the outcome, right? Mm-hmm. But then like other people have like gotten to a point where, okay, I'm making my way through my story still. Yeah. So depends on like kind of where they're at on that journey.
I'm just thinking, I'm looking at my life ahead and I'm like, wow, this journey until I die, it's going to be insane. But
I think there's always a new chapter every time. Like, I think once you get to a certain point in life where you go, oh, once you close one chapter doesn't mean it's just like, no, there's never like a full, there's always, but that's the beauty of life.
Yeah. I told my wife that last night. I was like, babe, just if you ever like had any idea of having like a simple life, it's not happening here. I just hope you know this. I mean, obviously you're stuck now, but no, I was like, it's never going to be simple. There's always going to be challenges and things, but that's how you achieve
know
greatness.
You're doing it right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so funny you say that because I remember telling one of my very first girlfriends, I just want to do what I'm doing now, and I was so happy with settling. And that's like exactly when my world crumbled, as it does when you go, oh, I like what I'm doing. I'm pretty comfortable. The universe goes, oh, let me just mess that up for you. Let me throw a wrench
in that. Take this shit. And you're like, oh my God.
But when you react like that, when you're like, it's throwing wrenches at me, what am I going to do? That's when it's hard and horrible. I mean, it's going to be hard regardless, but it doesn't have to be as like, I guess, like the suffering that we go through and put ourselves through. Because if you already expect that to happen, life to throw wrenches in your plans and your comfort and your, settling where you are, like, I'm pretty sure that's why she broke up with me. Because I was like, I'm happy settling here. It's like, oh, you have no ambition. Like, bye.
That's really unattractive.
It is. You got to want to go places, even when you've like achieved a lot. Like, that's what successful people do. They've achieved a lot. They're successful and they're like, I'm not done. Yeah. And what else?
Almost obsessively.
Yes,
just
almost
the
like
next thing, next thing, next
masochistically.
thing.
Yeah.
That's why I don't believe in like retirement and stuff. I'm like, that doesn't even compute.
Right.
I don't, even,
Right.
I
What
don't
are you
ever
gonna do?
think
What
about
are
a
you gonna
time
do?
in my life where I'm just sitting back, not doing anything.
Right.
And
different.
just doing hobbies.
Yeah.
Have
Like,
you ever been on vacation and like
Yes.
with a group of people who could just do nothing?
Oh, God,
I'm like,
drives me
I
crazy.
am going out of my mind. I need to do something
Yeah.
with myself.
that's why the beach is so hard for me. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, am I supposed to sit there all day?
Wait. So I just sit
I
here.
don't like the heat. and then I got to like do that for an entire day. Like, damn it, man. So,
I'm the one that's
tomorrow.
out there. I went to Costa Rica twice last year, and both times you'll find me out on the rocks looking for rocks.
Just doing something. Just doing something.
yeah, like, I'm going to
Yeah.
find a diamond over here
I
somewhere.
hear you.
Yeah, or cool rocks.
Yeah,
I don't care.
exactly.
Like, these are cool, but it's anything but just sitting here. I
Hell
got to
yeah.
do something.
Well, we're gonna get into like, you know, our thoughts on like I said, like you were just talking about like chapters and all those different things, because I find that very interesting. And you know, I was just thinking about life in general. And real quick before we get into your journey, just you know, my wife had asked me, "Hey Joe," she's like, "Are you good?" You know, and I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm happy." She's like, "Are you happy?" You know, because you could tell I was like a little distracted. And this was yesterday. I was like, "Babe, I'm happier than I've ever been." I said, "But there's a lot going on." I said, you know, and at the end of the day, this sucks. And you have to embrace that. You have to be like, man, that's what I did when I found that out. I was like, nothing I can do about it now, except just keep going.
Yep.
So I got to sit there and be like, man, this fucking blows. It's a big hit, but guess what? We can only turn it into something greater. And so you got to recognize those things and keep moving forward. I was like, and at the end of the day, honey, like I love challenges. I love the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
I've embraced the unknown in so many ways. And like, that's kind of the joy in it, I find.
It's
so
the
I'm like,
relentless pursuit.
if anything, it just fits the name. I'm like, this is kind of exciting. This is
Yeah.
exciting times. Now it's like, all right, what are we going to do from this? You know, like that's actually really kind of cool.
Yeah. Well,
for
and
sure,
two, that quote, I never can quote things the way that they're supposed to be quoted, but it sticks with me. It's if you're going through if you're being handed something that's hard, it's because you are strong enough. The universe believes that you are the one to handle it. Like, and the harder the challenges that you are dealt, the more challenges that you are dealt means something about you.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to handle that. Otherwise it wouldn't come your way. And I really believe in that stuff. Like the universe,
doubt.
you know, like handing you what you can handle. So people who have a boring life, who are like settled and they're maybe, you know, say they're fine, but like never fully satisfied with life and they're just getting by. It's like, they're not being handed the challenges that you've been handed, you know, because
They've given
we
up
all get
on that.
handed. Yes.
The
And you can
opportunity's
just
been
be like,
there.
well, I'm going to throw my hands up to it. And then the universe is like, okay, well, yeah, you just go do your thing over there, buddy. And I'm going to throw the challenge at Joe over here because Joe wants it, you know?
I do.
Well, that's like what I was telling you the
It
other
makes
thrive
you
off of that
better.
shit.
It makes you bigger.
Embrace the chaos.
The other day, whenever that happened, I was telling you, like, I mean, we talk about all this stuff all the time, and here's a great opportunity to, you know, one of the sayings that my cord's stuck over here. I'm sorry, I look insane right now, but there's one of the sayings that I've really fallen in love with lately is no burdens, only opportunities. And like, whenever you say you enjoy a challenge and stuff, it's like, yeah, because an opportunity is fun. You know, it's like, so you look at it, instead of looking at it as a burden, you look at it as an opportunity. You're like, actually, this could be kind of fun to figure out.
Yeah. And
So-
I'm actually, wildly enough, I'm reading a book right now called The Obstacle is the Way, and it's all about turning adversity into advantage. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are the
Interesting
chances?
timing.
So,
Interesting timing.
pretty cool.
I'm about to start on a book that a client gave me called The Comfort Crisis. It's along those same lines.
Nice.
I think. I haven't started it yet, but
it down.
I'm excited to get into it
Hell yeah.
because
The comfort.
being comfortable is the opposite of what you should be looking for, you know? And I think we want that until you get it. And then
Right.
it's fleeting. Everything's fleeting.
Yeah.
So like the more you chase the harder things, the more joy that brings. It's like the harder the rain. You see how bad I am at quoting?
No.
The more it rains, the bigger the rainbow or whatever.
Right,
Like
right.
if it's just like a light sprinkle, you're probably not, well, you know what I mean.
No, but
You
that's
know what I
actually
mean?
that's actually a great analogy. I don't even know who said that, but thanks for.
I don't either.
Yeah, I'm going to be thinking about rainbows and rain all the time now. But yeah, that's the whole thing. You know, comfort is a slow death. It's a shirt. That's a quote we put on a shirt, and I think that just. I don't know. I get too excited about this shit. So we'll dive into this stuff more.
Let's do
But
it.
this is about you, Savanna, and your journey. And so obviously, everybody knows how we met at this point. So Savanna. Well, real quick, what do you do now, by the way? So people just know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, you just need to walk off the
Just
street and
bopping
come
around.
into the
I'm
studio.
sorry.
She was
You know,
actually just
let's
walking
just
around
talk.
outside the studio. We were like, hey, come in here real quick.
So I not only am I a co-host on the Nashville Fit podcast and working on that team, it's been really fun working with that team. But I'm a coach. I'm a fitness coach. So strength training and a mobility specialist. I love personal training. I'm your like old school. I love working one-on-one. I have one-on-one clients. I do online. But I love my people in person and having my community. And I teach group fitness, currently at True Mav. I've been at multiple gyms around Nashville. And, you know, the goal with that is just to keep doing stuff like that and keep expanding on that. And, you know, I'm on Instagram trying to help people there too. So I found my calling with that after being in the music industry for most of my life. I'm in a music family and was born into that. And that was my, you know, path for a long time, and went to Berklee College of Music, you know, to pursue it, and then decided, you know, at a certain point after adversity and things happening, kind of opening my eyes to, this isn't fulfilling me right now. It's always a part of who I am, music, but I didn't want to do it for a living anymore. I wanted to, I got into fitness after I had an eating disorder, and that's a whole part of the story, but I became super passionate about helping people get truly healthy, not just from this limited scope that I was operating out of like, I have no idea what's going on in my life. I'm, you know, unsure of myself, unsure of my future. So I have control over my body. I have control over this. And then I made some mistakes. I got hurt. I got injured. I got sick. And since then, it's just been this passionate pursuit of trying to help people and help people understand what being truly connected to your body means, you know, because fitness, I think a lot of the time people are doing anything that they can to divorce their mind from their body and be like, I just want to get out of my head. And it's like, yes, I get like getting away from your problems and being present in the moment. But like people will go, I don't want to think. I just want to sweat a lot and destroy my body and feel like I did something, you know? And it's I get that, but are you really connecting with yourself in that time?
Yeah, do you know what you're doing?
Yeah, it's a prime opportunity, and it completely transformed my life. Fitness has completely transformed who I am.
Same.
And I want people to experience that in their own way, because it's not going to look the same, obviously, but there is just so much bull out there about like what you're supposed to be doing, because we're all comparing. But at the end of the day, all of my goals happened to me. Everything I wanted that I wasn't getting when I was doing it the wrong way through an eating disorder, through this limited lens of like, I just have to have control. I just have to look a certain way and then I'll be happy. None of those goals ever happened.
Yeah.
It all fell into place after I got hurt, after I got sick, and I was in this place where I couldn't move.
Yeah.
The universe went, no, sit down. You're doing it wrong. You need to learn something, and I'm going to stop you from moving so that you have to sit down and learn about how this stuff works.
Yeah.
Why did you get hurt? Why did you get sick? And learning those answers, my career was born.
Yeah, I love that. And, you know, it's that just goes with, you know, if just because you look at what someone else is telling you to do, or like you see what works for them, doesn't mean that's going to work for you. Like, like fitness is a very individual journey.
Yes.
Like your body's going to react to certain foods a different way. Your training habits, it's all different for everybody. Like people tell you, well, you need 8 hours of sleep. If I get 8 hours of sleep, I'm screwed. If I sleep 5 hours, I feel really good. You know, so like psychologically, some people would just do that, you know, but I think, you just had to figure out like, hey, I'm on my road. I'm going to stop doing all these other things. And then it's turned into you falling in love with it.
Yeah. So. And it's work, you know, to connect with your body. You have to, you know, a lot of people want that quick fix. They want to take a pill, or they want to just hire a trainer just to be like, okay, do this. Okay, just put it in a PDF and I'll do it. And it's like, okay, I'll put a PDF there, but are you going to do it and like try? Are you going to like care about it? And I get it. Sometimes things can be monotonous or boring, or maybe it's really hard to start because you're like, I have so much to go. But it's like, I'm telling you, it is the best thing you'll ever do is try to better yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally, but put those together. Don't separate those. Like your mental health. Now I say that and a lot of people go, the gym is my therapy. I don't agree with that. But
I do want to touch on that too.
There is a lot of connecting to yourself mentally when you're trying to accomplish physical goals. You need to mind muscle connection. We all know what that means, you know, but if you don't know what that means, you can't build your muscles if you don't feel them, and people don't want to feel strength training, and they're afraid of getting bulky before they even feel something. It's like, you have no idea.
Trust me, you're not bulky.
How much effort that's going to take.
It's been a week.
Yeah.
Well, so we're going to dive into some topics along with that because, there's a lot of interesting things to hit on right there. But what I would love you to do is take us back.
Okay.
Take us to the beginning. Where you're from, your upbringing, a little bit of that, and what led you to where you're at today.
Sure, I can do my best. So from the very beginning, I am from here. I'm from Nashville, but really more so like Spring Hill, Franklin area is where I grew up. And like I said, I was born into a music family. I started playing music since the age of 3.
Let me guess, country music.
No,
Classical.
actually, that was actually later in life when I was pursuing a career with it. But you were classical. Yeah, I was classically trained on the violin. It was my first instrument. I was 3 years old. And then that turned into Celtic music because my mom was like, there's this really cool lady that I want you to take lessons from. Her name was Miss Gretchen. I don't remember her last name, but I was like 5. But started taking Celtic lessons from her. She was really cool. And then bluegrass. And then that's when I discovered the guitar. And my dad put a little baby Taylor in my hands and taught me a few chords. And my dad's always been my biggest fan in everything, both fitness and music. And so learning the guitar from my dad when I was like 6 years old, and he kept teaching me stuff because I think going from violin to guitar really helped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he was always just like, oh, you got to keep playing. You're so good. And he, put me in lessons. And after a few years, he was like, all right, we're getting you a guitar, an electric guitar. And I could not wait to have my own electric guitar. And from then it was history. I was obsessed. I wanted to be a rock star. And so I played in bands all through high school. My mom ran this summer camp that was geared toward teaching kids how to be in bands and stuff like that. And it was just this really empowering time of my life. But there's also, insecurities. I was a chubby kid growing up. And playing guitar was something I really loved, but it was something that I was really good at. I'm gifted at. I never did it for other people, though. It was just for me, And so getting into high school and college, I really didn't have a plan for my future. I didn't know. Yeah. I just assumed I was going to be a musician.
You just wanted to fucking shred.
Yeah. But if you know anything about the music industry or the world, any industry, you don't just get to do that.
Yeah.
You have to
do just shred out.
You just show up. You're like, let's fucking go, baby.
Yeah. And like, that's literally all I know how to do is play. And even like people who build the amp or whatever that I'm playing out of are like, oh yeah, how do you like the sound on these tubes and stuff? I'm like, it sounds good to me. Or I just don't like how that sounds. And I'm like, oh, what do you need changed? I'm like, I don't know. I don't like the way it sounds.
Yeah.
Or I like that. That sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't know the ins and outs of a guitar or an amp. I just know how to play it,
I kind of feel that with videography because I don't know nearly as much as I should about the technical aspects.
Right. And a lot of people might make you try to feel dumb about that because you don't know. And it's like, no, bro. I don't. Like,
what's crazy is I don't know that. I'm still better than you.
Oh, trust me. I got a diesel truck, and people are like, "Hey, you ever fix this and that on the engine?" I'm like, "Listen, I just like a big truck, and
I love riding around in it. I know that.
I'm not a mechanic,
and that's okay."
And they're like, "You don't know how to work on it." And I'm like, "I don't want to work on it,
Why
dude.
would I want to do that?
Like, I got other shit to do."
I think people with Ferraris and shit, they're just out there. They're out there cranking in the engine. Like, no, I doubt it.
It's not reserved for people who want to work on trucks to have a truck.
Right.
I had a truck, and people ask me all the time. I don't have it anymore, but. No, I don't know anything about it. I just like it.
God, does it have to be that complicated?
So you said you had a music fan. So were your parents both musicians?
Yes, they met playing music. I don't know if you've heard of Mickey Gilley. They met in country music.
Gotcha.
Dad moved from California to pursue songwriting, and he's still to this day a songwriter. He also doesn't believe in retirement. My mom was a vocalist, and they both went on tour with Mickey Gilley.
Okay.
He was an old country star. They've met Willie Nelson. They've met all kinds of people in their career, but now my mom is a travel agent. And my mom's had so many like random little careers because she can't stop.
Yeah.
Neither of my parents are going to retire,
Are you pretty close to both of them still?
Yes.
And they're together?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. It's a
Especially
blessing.
now. Yeah. And that comes with the story and stuff. But Let's see, where was I going into college,
Yeah.
super insecure about everything. I am chubby. I was struggling with my sexuality at the time, like really thick in that time period going into college. And then I had no plan for college. I didn't get the best grades. I didn't even think about like applying for nice schools because I'm like, I went to a music high school, if that tells you how much music it was.
Yeah.
And then, so I did end up getting a scholarship because they came to my high school, auditioned people to go to Berklee College of Music. Got the scholarship. That was the only ticket for me to go to school, unless I went to community college. So I did. And the second I got there, everybody's like starting their careers and I am overwhelmed and I do not know what I'm doing. And I kind of checked out. I went to class, I got passing grades, but I partied a lot because I wanted the party college experience. I thought I might get that. And like, you know, some people do it, but the people that are getting success out of, you know, starting their career are not. So I hung out with kids from other schools too. And I played in some bands, but I was getting really depressed and I was gaining more weight.
You think maybe that was like a social thing? Like, cause you did have those insecurities.
Absolutely.
That was your way of like connecting with people and building that.
100%.
Okay.
And did you want that in college? Cause you didn't really have that in high school?
No, I had it in high school too. But I think I had expectations for what I was going to experience when I first got to college. I thought it was going to be more of like a learning experience, and it was. But
maybe just not in the ways that you thought.
Yeah, I was just insecure I was comparing myself. You know, a lot of people are like, you know, like Charlie Puth went to Berklee, and Betty Who are two that stand out to me. They were there at the time I was there, and they're huge. And a lot of people didn't know who they were in college, but they walked around with this confidence, you know, that like I just didn't have at the time. I didn't picture myself being a lead artist like they were. I always played for other people. Like I played lead guitar, but I never sang like I was my own artist. And I didn't really want to be. I was fine with that. So I didn't really know how to market myself. I wasn't ready to learn how to market myself. It wasn't what I was expecting. So I was comparing myself and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to shut it off and go be the fun person, you know, like no one's looking at me for professional guitar advice or, you know, I'm going to hire you because I'm comparing myself. I don't think I'm good enough. But at least people, you know I can be fun, you know, and that's what I did. But then got not super overweight, but the most overweight I was, you know, the whole freshman 15 was more like a freshman 30 to 50 for me. And people still to this day don't believe me about that, but it's true. And I was highly depressed, highly unsure of what I was going to do because I was unhappy. I was not wanting to do music for a career. And I was terrified of disappointing my family.
I can relate to that.
That was the biggest one. With assumptions in my head, because at the end of the day, my family did have a little bit of pushback about changing, but they were still really trying and wanted to accept it. They were just worried about me because I developed an eating disorder. That's in college when that happened. Because I didn't know how to do the music thing the way everyone was doing it.
Yeah.
But
I only knew how to play.
I was just going to, so you said you only know how to play. That's what I was about to say.
Right.
So like you were saying earlier, was your lack of like a career interest in it because of what you were saying earlier? You really only played for yourself before?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I didn't know how to like
It wasn't
enjoy.
even like something you thought about. You're not like,
Right.
oh, I'm going to be a professional at this. I just like doing it.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and like I didn't know how that was gonna look. And then when I got to college and saw how that was looking for people and all the work that goes into it, I was like, I don't want to do this type of work. Like if I'm gonna work, I want to do other kinds of things, you know, that are more fulfilling for me. Because this is all clout for me. You know, it's like, and there is a lot of that in the music industry. You can't get around it. There's a lot of who do you know? How much money do you have? How popular are you in these social circles? And I felt like I just was like, I didn't jump in my freshman year to that. So I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And I don't think I want to, you know, it's all about me. And I got to wear high heels on stage and that's not me. You know, I want to be myself. So, and I'm sure I could have had I kept pushing through that, but I decided at the time, after coming home and getting real with the eating disorder stuff, getting real with like, okay, I have a control issue. I'm unsure of what I want to do with my life, but getting that issue under control with help and therapy and, you know, people who care about you, your support system, I realized this is something that I've been so sick and so irritable and angry about my life and unsure that healing from this has made me realize I can help people out of this situation because the more that I healed, the more I saw other people kind of going through what I was going through. And I'm like, a lot of people deal with this. And then when I started to like get back into fitness, because the eating disorder, I was running on the treadmill every day. I was to the point where I had shin splints and I was still doing it. I was dieting. Like I had no idea what I was doing.
So you were like just really under eating. Like,
yeah.
big time.
And very uneducated about fitness at the time. Very.
You're like, oh, one
So
broccoli.
did that start?
Literally,
Yeah.
man, like salad with no dressing. Can you imagine?
Yeah. And
Salad with
that's crazy.
lettuce?
It was bad.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's
Bad.
Yeah.
Well,
I was just go ahead.
I was going to ask, but it's just analyzing this, from what you said, you're like really close to your family and stuff like that. Like, and you had a good upbringing,
I've been very lucky.
Yeah, same here, and I relate with you on that aspect because like I went to college first time around and bombed, got hooked on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
That was my escape, right? Because I didn't know who I was or what I wanted to do. I just didn't want to disappoint them because they'd given me such a beautiful life. Just like, what the fuck, And so like, yeah, it just threw me through a whirl. And it's crazy to think about that because like at the end of the day, like we were so blessed, yet all of our things here were just self-imposed.
Absolutely.
We were constantly comparing ourselves.
Isn't that crazy?
Disappointing ourselves. Nobody else was like voicing any of these things. It was all just like, hey, I'm going to create this and drive myself nuts and put myself in a really bad situation. And I don't know. I just find that fascinating to think about because
It is
in different
fascinating.
ways,
And I've tried to like figure out why. And for a long time, I blamed my parents for things. And I'm like, it's the way that you raised me. But then like the more I've grown up, the more I realize I am doing anything but looking inward for this, and it's like, of course, external circumstances are going to influence, like you feeling like you're, I'm not good enough to be a guitar player for a living, or I am not like Betty Who or like Charlie Puth, so I can't, like that. You can maybe have bullies or something that you grew up with and have those influences, but at the end of the day, it's still your responsibility.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's your fault. Fault and responsibility.
Yes, I love that one.
Yeah. I can't remember what I was listening to.
This episode is brought to you by Relentless Pursuit. Check us out at relentlesspursuitlifestyle.com. Subscribe to the email. I'm going to be flooding the emails with a lot of content. If you don't know, now you know, we are off Instagram. We were deplatformed off of there, all pages, unjustly, because they're unfair and they're mean. But anyways, but yeah, so you're not going to see us on Instagram much, if ever again. But we're going to try to rebuild that. Regardless, check us out on patreon.com/The Relentless Pursuit Podcast for a lot of extra content. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. And as we move forward, I'll let you know what else we join in on. I think we're on TikTok too. Yeah, I got to get that going.
And your Facebook is still up.
Facebook's
At the
still
moment,
up. Relentless
moment.
Pursuit. Yeah, so I don't know. Crazy world we're in. But yeah, subscribe, check this out, share it, all the good things. And thank you very much for the support.
Y'all can find me, Savanna Hill, my Instagram, which is the only platform that I'm really on. I'm not on TikTok. So if you don't have the platform for Relentless Pursuit, you can come to mine. It's SavFit, SAVFIT, and there's a __ after that. So give me a follow. Let's be friends.
Nice, because I had to I don't know, I haven't had to see anything on there.
Yeah.
I actually did think about that. I was like, I wonder if he's kind of enjoying a little break.
Yeah, it's kind of the break, but then
Every
I'm like,
time I have not had to look at it, it's
Makes
just
you feel
like,
better, doesn't it?
I will take this.
but it's also like your friend's going to do something without you, and you're like, well, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
What's going on in the IG world now? No, I mean, hell, honestly, all I ever did was really just post because I'm so busy. So I'm not really good with response shit, and it's only because I've got a million hats to wear.
Yeah.
So I post and that's the purpose. And I never really look through things unless I don't know. Usually if it was related to metal music and the pages I follow for that, what new album's out, or I wonder if anybody's going on tour. And then that's all I really checked out.
Because that's kind of what it originally started as. It wasn't a place to promote your business until later.
Yeah.
And then Instagram became
Place.
if you have a business, are you not on Instagram? What are you doing?
Don't exist.
And I was paying for Meta
Premium
verification or whatever. And guess what? You'd think they just, because I was
a loyal
premium
patron
member, they would at least give me the opportunity. Anyways, we're done with that. So
we're going to rise above this.
We are going to rise above this. I'm just salty.
Yeah.
Hey, it's
every
fresh.
right to be.
It's fresh.
Fresh
You
stuff.
are absolutely every right.
But shit, I had remembered what
You
you
were talking
said.
about responsibility and fault.
Yes. I'm
Yes.
trying to remember the context as to which.
You were
well,
talking about your parents. You said that you blamed them for a long time.
Yeah. And I blamed like, my school and like what everybody else was doing. And it's like, everybody here has an ego, and it's like, I just want, and that's why I was not doing anything productive. I was just partying and I was figuring myself out in a way too. Cause like I was exploring my sexuality, the whole thing with college, so I don't have any regrets, but it was a really hard time for me. And I had to come here, like home, and my parents took me in and helped me. And they were like, we're going to get you some help because, and they put it in a way that was so gentle that didn't make me feel like a crazy person. Like I had done all this like horrible shit to my body. They made it very, gentle and loving. And so I was getting help. I was getting therapy. And I had one therapist say, what's something, because like you were doing exercise, but like you just didn't know when to change your goals and like what you were looking for something out of it that now let's reframe. We've reframed like why we want to exercise. It's for our health, to feel okay and feel good. And I just knew two things. I never want to feel this weak in my body again. And I never want to be this horrible of a person. That was really the biggest takeaway. Was I was a terrible person when I had an eating disorder. I was mean. Everybody was like looking at me, even though they weren't. I just was like hyper paranoid.
Yeah.
Because I knew deep down, I'm not okay. I look not okay too. And people are concerned, or, it's like watching a car accident when you drive by. You can't help but look. And knowing that, and when this therapist asked me, what do you want to do now that it's okay for you to get back into fitness? Let's do it a different way. What have you always wanted to try? And I said kickboxing. I was like, I want to try martial arts. And I signed up at a cardio kickboxing gym called 9 Round, and then fell in love with it. And I was in recovery at this time, and I was just getting educated.
Yeah.
And I was getting better. And that's where I found out like, okay, this is fun. And this is a way better way to do this. And I want to help people do this. But I didn't have the trainer word in my head yet until someone asked me, hey, have you ever considered working here? I need some help around the gym. And I was like, finishing up school. And I'm like, I was still in school for music, and I was increasingly less happy. I was back at MTSU studying audio production. And I was like, light bulb when she asked me if I wanted to be a trainer. So I became a trainer there. And ever since then, it's just been more and more learning. But I got hurt still because I still wasn't fully like, aware. And I still had those like exercise addiction tendencies. So I still was doing too much, even though I was in recovery and I was learning. It was when I got injured and hurt my back. I remember like sharp shooting pain, and then I was in a back brace for months and couldn't move. And that's when I was like, okay, now I'm forced to stop and really actually take a hard look at
That
like,
sucks.
Yeah. But like, that's, I think, what started the process of me becoming a better person, of me studying like my own mindset around things, studying the actual anatomy of my injury. And then I really wanted to learn how to help people out of pain specifically, because it was so painful, like all of those things. And I never wanted to experience that again. And I got into powerlifting, and that's when everything just took off. I was genuinely having fun with the process of becoming strong, not just skinny, not just doing cardio. It was like, okay, this is my jam right here. And then watching and then meeting other people who have, so many people in fitness have had eating disorders or had injuries. And people think, oh, you're a trainer, you must, know how to avoid all of that. And it's like, no, we've been through it. That's why we know how to help you.
If you haven't, there's probably an issue there. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like being a seasoned trainer, I think like you've met those things head on.
Every trainer I've ever admired or every mentor I've ever had has been littered with injuries, has had depression or anxiety or some kind of accident or an eating disorder. And I think we look at those things as these experiences that are like, oh, you were weak in that moment, or you did something incorrectly and you should be canceled for deadlifting wrong. It's like, no, like your body is resilient, first of all. And half of the time people don't know they're doing things wrong. But that's why I love being a coach, because it's like, there's so many ways to do one thing. And then when somebody's a beginner at something, I like starting from the ground up and teaching you how to connect with your body and how to understand, like, okay, you're flexing your back in a deadlift. And for a long time, that's wrong, right? Like, you have to have a neutral, but okay, why is it so hard for this person, not hard for this person? It's like a puzzle for me to figure out. And then I learned about programming, and that's a whole puzzle to figure out. And it's just like, but the real puzzle when it comes to fitness is what makes my clients tick? Why are they afraid to do that box jump? Why are they only wanting to do this type of fitness and not this type of fitness? Why are they, like, once you learn about a person and what makes them tick, what are their fears, it doesn't have to be that deep, because some people won't let you in that deep, but it's really helped me learn how to connect with other people. And that's what I really wanted out of the eating disorder recovery, was I just want to be a better person. I don't want to push people out of my life who care about me. I want to be the person that people go to for love. And, like, I want to attract that into my life, because I'm done feeling lonely and pushing everything good out away from me.
Yeah.
Because of why? What am I doing this for? To be skinny, to have abs? What the heck am I doing?
Yeah. And you talked about, like, the people wanting to come to you. And I think that's a huge part of being, a coach or trainer. Is that personal connection. That's why, like, I thrive off of one-on-ones. Like, I don't really enjoy, like, online programming that much, because I like interacting with people and having conversations. Like, I got all my clients, and I love my clients. Like, they're cool as shit.
Well, you learn about yourself too.
Yeah. You learn about yourself. Yeah, exactly. Through all the conversation and everything. And I think there's so much more to it. I think that's a massive aspect of it. But yeah.
Well,
and I wanted to really love myself. That's a big part of that. It's not just that I wanted to have, like, friends and, like, be able to attract love and light into my life, but I wanted to be that. And I wanted to genuinely love myself, because the whole time that I was over exercising and dieting, really restricting and going through that, I didn't love myself.
Yeah.
I was so not in love with myself. And I honestly can't tell you why, like, I even started doing, well, I guess it's because I was overweight and I knew a doctor told me you need to lose some weight. But at this point, I realized self-love is always this journey, and there's always going to be, like, setbacks and stuff where okay, I didn't handle that perfectly, but the more that you strength train, the more that I coach, the more that I've just grown up as a person, the more self-love it's given me. Fitness has taught me how to handle really difficult circumstances. And it might not be the therapy for me anymore like it used to be, like it used to be this, like, this is my me time. And now it's like my job. So I have to have other outlets and stuff like that. But I get it when people say running is this release for them. It's my time to think to myself, or my time lifting in the gym is my time. Or even when I go to the gym and work out with my friends in a group fitness class, that's my time. Like, good.
Yeah, I was
have
telling,
that time.
Exactly. I was telling somebody that, like, I do it in the afternoons. Like, I used to train early in the mornings, but, like, there's so much going on throughout my day. Like, when I do get to train, I just decompress. It's like just blowing off a shit ton of steam. I'm just like, because I know what I'm doing, so I'm not really thinking.
Sure.
I was talking to my therapist about that. He's like, you know what you're doing when you're in the gym, so you're going through the motions. It's almost like automatic. And so you have to think, you have to be safe and everything, but you're not really thinking. So you're able to like tune in. And I'm like, yeah, and I just get so, like, I'm able to breathe, and I go home and I'm not really thinking about my day.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's better for you to have that release in the afternoon than in the morning, because, like, you've gone through a lot through your day, and then you can work out and then, like, get a bunch of it out.
Well, and that could change too. You might like realize this isn't doing for me in the afternoon anymore. Maybe I'll
go back to the mornings. Yeah.
But that's what fitness has taught you too, is like,
that's okay.
You're going to have to change at some point. You're going to have to change your goals. You're going to have to change the modalities that you're using. You're going to have to change, like, where you're training, what time you're training. Like, like, the fitness lifestyle is always, it teaches you that life is always changing. Always. No matter what you're doing, if you're a fitness instructor or not, if you have a fitness lifestyle or not, life is going to shift, and whether you like it or not.
That's a fact. And, this is my thoughts. It's just an opinion. It's not just all bodybuilding, but a lot of times with bodybuilders, a lot of people get into that. They start getting into fitness and they're like, I want to compete. I want to pursue this. And like, yes, it's going to improve you. It's going to help you, like, create discipline and all these things. But maybe you didn't have that healthy mindset. You didn't have that joy for it. You didn't have like the right eating habits. And then you get into that and it's super strict. And afterwards you crash diet or whatever the case is, right? Well, you were focused more so on this goal rather than falling in love with the thing. Like to me, it's like people are like, what are you training for? I'm like, I just love doing it.
Love training.
Like I go back there and I do a shit ton of burpees and I lift and I eat and I just like, I find joy in it. And I think like the key there is like finding joy in that journey before
you're connecting to yourself. Even though it's autopilot, it's still you connecting to you because you're shutting the world out. It's your time.
Yeah.
It's a ritual.
To be with you. Yeah.
Ritualistic.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you need that in order to get back into your day and back to the people that you care about. And that's why the self-love thing is so important, because that's what I got out of fitness. And what has still carried me through way harder circumstances than my eating disorder. That's like a blip in the radar now. That's like, I was like talking about it just now. I'm like, wow, that seems so far away.
It's like surreal that you came that it's just like a
and
blip.
that was a huge, like that was the biggest
like
problem in my
all-encompassing.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a long time. It was
does that
something
feel
I
like?
recovered with. Well, it feels really like, I want to say it feels amazing, but it also, I don't know how it feels because I'm going through things now that are way bigger now that I'm grateful for that experience and what it taught me. And I'm now so much more grateful for every difficult experience I've had. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and so I get my heart broken a lot, in relationships, in friendships, I put a lot of my identity into a job at one point, and when I lost that job, it broke my heart, But all of those experiences, I realized, like we were talking about earlier, the universe does not hand you what you cannot handle.
Yeah.
And it's not going to hand the same
I talk about this all the time.
big one.
I talk about this all the time, like living like honorably or dishonorably. Like when I told him when I met Lydia, I was like, I want to be a man of honor. This woman makes me want to be the best version of myself. Like, cause she loves me for who I am. So I just want to be a better version of that. And then as I started like really just pursuing a righteous path, I was like, I'm going to make this brand a light in the world, and then like, there's a lot of dark shit going on. Like that's my purpose. And it's just like, kind of crazy. The people that have filtered themselves out of my life, I've learned that they don't resonate with that path.
Right.
And I'm like, that's the universe is doing me a huge favor by getting rid of them because that's just more darkness attached to what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And trusting that the universe is doing that because it's painful.
Yeah.
And it's really, when we feel pain as humans, we always want to back up and go, put it out, put the fire out. And we run away or we mask it somehow or we go, I'm tougher than that doesn't even exist.
No, throw more gasoline on it.
Right. So yeah, that's kind of like the thing is like everything that I've gone through. So now the worst has happened to me and like I've had rock bottom happen and I'm sure it'll happen again in some way or another. But my brother took his life last year and my family, it blew us up for a minute. We've never been closer until right now. And I think a lot of what that experience, I haven't said that anywhere, publicly. I've said it to friends and family, but it's something I'm still dealing with. It's still fresh. It hasn't even been a year. And then on top of that, people in my life who were there when that happened and said they were going to stay there are gone. And they don't want what's best for me. And I think that whole situation really scared some of the people in my life. And I have to let go of a lot and I have to heal through a lot. But what I've learned through the eating disorder, through losing my brother, through getting my heart broken and breakups and losing jobs and losing part of my identity, having to grieve old versions of myself, I've learned that is life. And you can either look at it as like, oh, woe is me. I'm always going to have things happen to me. Why my brother? Why me? Why this person? Why did they leave me? I'm tired of letting those things just keep me down.
Yeah.
It makes me more like, almost like obsessed with having happiness in my life and spreading joy, because that's what brings you happiness.
Yeah.
And anytime I've ever like chased the money or been entitled or been like, I don't have any problems, I'm fine, don't talk about it, don't, need to talk about it, I'm tough, I have everything, it's fine. Like, I don't need friends, I don't need to be nice, I'm going to be, anytime I'm not being my true self.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be someone else, it gets worse.
Of course.
But every time I return to myself, it's painful. It is so painful. It's so hard. But it's discovering yourself. And I don't think there's ever a moment in my life that I'm ever going to stop discovering more about myself.
Without a doubt.
And I was listening to an audiobook, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a...
It's a great book.
Right.
It's a great book.
But he was talking about, I don't think you should ever find yourself, because there's something about certainty that makes you kind of blocked off from being open-minded. This is who I am. No one can tell me anything otherwise. And it's like, yeah, don't let other people tell you who you are, but be open to changing yourself and changing your values and changing how you handle things. And like, there's going to be people who go like, well, that's not how you are. And it's like, maybe not when you met me, but I'm changing,
We talked about this last time. Like, one of the dumbest phrases in freaking human history is people never change. The dumbest phrase.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. And I use the word dumb because it's just so not even thought out. It's so lazy intellectually. It's like, oh, well, I'm not going to do anything about it. People never change. It's like, that's so not true.
Some people won't if they don't want to, but they're going to in one
they're
way
going
or
to get
another.
worse or better. They're going to get worse. So if you if you see somebody 5 years later, it's like, oh, he's the same person. No, he's worse than he was then, or he's better than it's like you don't
if
just
you're
stay
acting
the same
way and you're not ever like taking responsibility for your problems and like just being accountable for things that because everybody hurts people.
Yeah,
we don't mean to half the time, but everybody does it.
Yeah.
So the more that you just kind of come to terms with like, this is how I am, this is what's going on, I'm going to be real about it. I'm not going to pretend that I'm okay, or I'm not going to pretend that I'm like a victim people don't pretend, they just project and go, I'm a victim and none of these problems happen to anyone else. Like,
right.
Like my brother took his life, and a lot of people cannot relate to that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to isolate myself from those people. Like, I want to be more connected with those people. And I feel like I can be the more that I've been through, because now I understand what you've gone through.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I've like broken into tears about people's like small problems that maybe aren't small to them, but like listening to anything that's like watching a dog video before my brother died was like sad, but now things make me cry left and right. But like, I'm almost like proud of that because I have more empathy.
Yeah.
I understand what people are going through more, and it makes me I want to understand that. I want to connect with you on that, because that is the joy of life for me, is like spreading love, feeling love, and understanding like humanity. We are one. We are all connected. And if we all thought that way, it'd be a lot more beautiful place. But, even the broken people in the world who are hurting people on purpose, it's like something happened to that person.
Yeah.
Show them compassion, and that's the thing. Like, you got to have compassion for not only other people, but your shadows, and, thinking about that, like how you like even, unfortunate experience only connects you even deeper. You talked about your brother's situation, how like you're more empathetic towards other situations. Like,
do you know why though? Because he was one of the most empathetic people I've ever met.
So that had an impact on you.
And that's probably not all of the reason why, but the world did not favor people like him. And it's why he ultimately didn't feel like he belonged here. But that's so not true.
Yeah.
Everybody belongs here. There's just people out there who haven't the people who are putting other people down are the least woke of all. And yet we sit here going, oh, that person has everything I want.
Yeah.
Family, money, looks, everything. They might be a nice person too. I'm just saying there's some people who have all those things and stomp on other people to get them.
So it's Jordan Peterson, I was actually talking about this. He said, I think it was him. He was never wish for someone else's circumstances for yourself. Like something along those lines. And he was talking about how, you see the guy in the Lamborghini and with the blonde in his car and you're like, I want that. little do you know, she's like strung out on drugs and she's a prostitute and this and that. And what did he do to get that money? And it's like, man, and people really, they look at whatever is on the outside and they're like, I want that. And they're like, do you really though?
Well, that
do you understand what it took to get there? And like,
the grass
because
is
you
always
may not
greener.
freaking want that. That could be a miserable life.
Yeah.
Like, be happy with what you have and just make progress on your own.
The grass is always greener.
Yes.
And like, there are so many people in my life that I've thought I wanted what they had. And then I found out who they were.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I like myself a lot more.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that whole thing.
I care about people a little bit more than you do, bro. Like, you don't care about nobody but yourself.
Exactly. And
That must be lonely.
Oh yeah, without
Right,
a doubt.
right.
And you talked about how people say, you know, why me? Poor pity me. And what I've learned is there's two ways to ask yourself why. You know, you can say, why me? Oh God, woe is me, all that stuff. Or you can be like, why me? Like, try to understand it. Like, what can I
Like,
use
really
this from?
why?
Like, I looked at this situation with just the deplatforming. I'm like, I didn't get upset about it. I'm like, oh, I feel targeted. I'm like, why? There's something to this. There's a reason for this, and I'm gonna figure it the fuck out and use it.
Learn.
So just change. It's so simple. Just change how you say why, how you ask why. But really, it all comes down with everything we
That's
talked
so
about.
good. I
it
love
all
that.
comes down to choice.
Yeah.
Like, you have the choice whether or not just to ask yourself why, just one of two different ways.
Yeah.
It's that simple, but it's really hard for people to grasp.
It's hard
100%.
because it's vulnerable.
Yeah.
And people don't want to like,
Well, it's harder too.
it's really easy to lift weights.
Yeah.
You know, people think it, like, I get that if you've never done it before, it takes a minute to learn, but it's easy. Anybody can do it. There's a reason why so many people work out, like,
Yeah.
you know, and why it doesn't take a college degree to be a personal trainer. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But
Should.
it's easy to do the physical work. It's the mental, emotional, spiritual work that people avoid because
yeah.
it's so much harder because it takes a good, hard look at, like, I mean, something like the Instagram thing happening to you, like being deplatformed, doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, Joe, go do some inner work because
Yeah.
this is all your fault.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to take responsibility for it. And you wouldn't know to do that had you not already done the inner work to know that.
Well, guess what? Yeah, exactly. And like, I'm still me. Like, that's not my identity. Instagram isn't my identity.
Right.
Like, without it, I'm still Joe. I'm still
Right.
pursuing the same thing. I still got my family. I still got everything that actually matters in this world.
Yeah.
That doesn't fucking matter.
Because
in
you've done
grand
the
scheme of
work
things.
in therapy or however you've done it to know I have worth.
But some people
to
lose
who
that.
I am.
And it's crushing.
And
Well,
they
yeah.
have no idea how to get it. They
Yeah.
have no idea how to be like, you know, like when you put your phone down and maybe you lose your Instagram and it's like the world blows up, right? And you just want to get revenge somehow and you don't know how, and then you're going to tell people what happened and it's always going to be someone else's fault, and you're like, but like, okay, like, who are you outside of that?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Know that you freaking out isn't going to solve it. You know, like, that's not having done the work to just be aware. It's awareness, really.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
It definitely
And
is.
anybody who's told me I'm so self-aware, I don't believe for a freaking second.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're probably the least aware person in my life at the moment because you think you're self-aware. I've never said like to anybody like, oh, I got it. I'm super self-aware, so I know everything about myself.
So the people that know more know they know less type thing. Yeah.
Well,
We gotta take a break. I'm sorry.
Oh, shit. Damn it.
We're just comes back to you. Let me like say it. I was gonna say real quick too about what you were saying at the end, like when we were talking about being authentic, and we talk about that all the time. And it's like with the phrases and the quotes that you use. It's like I was telling you earlier in the week. It's like, well, shit, this is the time to use. Like if we really believe in all this stuff, let's use it, right? No burdens, only opportunities. Okay, let's find the opportunity. More FIT, right?
Yeah.
Only not bad, not bad, only necessary or good. It's
Yeah.
like let's figure it out then, right? But if you're not doing it that way, like people losing their mind over losing their accounts or something, it's like if I'm deplatformed, and obviously this affects you, 75-25 to where I'm at. But a lot of my content got taken down. You know what I mean? That I've created, that I created like that for a reason, right? Authentic and real and like all that shit. And it makes me think like, well, I don't know what to tell you to do other than that because that's what you should do.
Yeah.
And so my point being is, fine, deplatform me. I don't give a shit. I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. We're telling real stories. We're impacting people. And if that,
Well,
if
and it's
that
going to
earns
mean
me
something later.
right. If that earns me a deplatforming, then okay,
Yeah.
great. I'm not going to, versus like we talked about all the time, we could have, porn stars on here talking about their favorite positions. We wouldn't get deplatformed, but we'd feel like shit about ourselves.
We'd get like multi-million
Yeah.
hits,
Right,
and people
right.
would be subscribing left
that
and right.
wouldn't be, but that wouldn't be us. That wouldn't be. We would feel like shit about it because we earned some level of success, but it's not authentic. It's not real. So it's like, okay, you can be on the platform and be successful, not being who you are, and that'll feel like shit. Or just do your thing and let them fall where they fall. If they take it as a threat, they take it as a threat, fuck them. It's like, we're just doing our thing regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, like that organic build, because you got people that reach out to you that like, you may not have this huge following, but people reach out to you left and right consistently because you're helping them. And so as the podcast grows, like we're just going to have more people like that are still there from day one, you know, and that's been my whole vision since the beginning is like, I want to grow. Yes. I want to keep growing. Yeah. I love some quicker growth at times, but at the same time, I want people to buy an RP shirt that bought an RP shirt day one.
You want the right
10
people.
years down the road.
The people that are meant to be in your world,
Yeah.
you know, because not everybody's meant to be in your world. And, you know, you could do the growth thing inauthentically and you're
Correct.
going to get a lot of people, but at the end of the day, do you want to have conversations with those people?
No.
Because they're not there for the
No.
same reasons that you might have originally wanted to be there. You know,
Yeah.
the voice that you could be using that's yours and you're like tailoring it to be algorithm friendly.
Right.
Like it's going to attract other people and you're not going to know how to connect with them, you know?
I've tried to do that with apparel. Like people like, you know, I start off with the shirts and like the quotes stuff I put on the back. And like, that's just what I do. And like it went really well. And then it's like asking other people for suggestions, like what kind of apparel making, like, ooh, you should do this item and that item. And I'm like, and then I slowly started to like really dislike the apparel side of things. I was like, yo, really the shirts and stuff, it's really about like the logo and the message. Like, I don't really care about fashion. Like I walk around in jorts and wear a fanny pack and shit. Like I got my little style, but I'm not going to be like making these special fashion pieces because that's not me.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to step away from that and just like put out shirts that have some meaning to it and like maybe some other little items, but like, let's take it back because that's going down a path like that's not.
Well, you niched the niche of that, you know, like, okay, I want to put apparel out and what is the point? Like, what is the point of me doing that? And you had that point all along, but then it took like, okay, some trial and error. And now I know, okay, I'm going to narrow it down. And it's not about fashion. It's about what I'm putting on the shirt.
Yeah.
And then the right people are attracted to that. People who don't care as much about the fashion, it's still a shirt though. It's not like it's ugly. It's just, you know, not maybe Lululemon or something, you know, but they want the message.
Yeah.
Right.
That's, you know, what you're about. And that's, I'm glad that you realized that because you could have been like, you know, I don't really care about what's on the shirt. I just want it to be the best quality that I can find. And then you're going to attract different people.
Yeah.
Well, and the last thing I'll say on this one, you get back to your story because we are in our last segment here. But
like way.
I did want to say too about you know, a lot of this stuff goes back to whys, right? Like, why are you doing your stuff? And so, like, whenever we're talking about growth, like, of course I want to grow. You want to grow. I want to grow. But we want to grow because we're helping people. We don't want to grow because we want to hit a number or we want to make a deal or we want to fucking have a sponsorship from X
impact
company.
as many
It's like
people.
we want to grow because we know what these conversations are doing for people that listen to them.
Yep.
So when we get taken down, of course it fucking sucks and it's like, damn, we put a lot of progress and work into that. But the goal wasn't the followers that we had on Instagram. The goal was the impact that was made regardless of whether we have a platform right now or not. Yeah. And the progress that keeps going forward. So like how we were, and I do take a lot of pride in that. And of course we're getting on a rabbit hole here, but I'm very proud of the fact that, we both were like, this fucking blows. I can't believe this happened. This sucks. All this shit was ripped out. There's nothing we could do about it, blah, blah, blah. But pretty quickly we're both like, you know what? That's
good.
okay. They did it for a reason. We're doing the right thing clearly. And at the end of the day, we're not doing this for that. We're doing this for the impact that it's going to make.
Yeah.
And so when you mean that shit don't matter.
Right.
Like, it sucks, but like take the pages. We're still going to be here.
Yep. And same with you, like coaching, like you're still, if you were to like lose your page, you're still going to have your same clients. You're still going to be able to gain some. You're just going to have to get a little bit more creative. Okay. What does that make you do? Grow. Because you got to get more creative and find another avenue. You're learning something new. What is wrong with that? Like I'm constantly seeking knowledge and trying to learn new, like spiritually, like in all the ways. That's why I go to a therapist. Why? Yeah, I need some things. I got some things I need to work on, but I'm also learning a lot about myself in that, you know, because
Exactly.
I'm having conversations that I don't have with everybody else.
Yeah.
And because they just approach it differently. So you're just going to like improve from whatever obstacle it is.
Right.
So-
And as far as Instagram goes, like exactly what you just said, you hit it right on the head is the only reason you should want to grow your Instagram is to reach more people with whatever it is that you're trying. I hope you believe in what you're doing or what you're selling, because I, for a second, got into digital marketing. I didn't get into, I like read about it. And I was like, it was one of those like make a lot of money things that I was like, what? And then I like skirt right back to like, no, that's not how things work. But it was all about like, you can be faceless and you can promote all these products. You just got to find the product. And like, I was like, I will never be good at that because I can't just find a random like fidget spinner and believe in that and like try and scam people out of money. It's 100%. Not necessarily scamming people, but I'm going to have to take a lot longer if I do something like this because I want it to be a product or a service that I believe in.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that you're doing, like what I do, I want to grow my following to reach as many people as I can, but because I want my content to be out there. Yeah. So if I'm going to try and fit into the algorithm and I have done that. I've totally made content that I'm like, ew.
You feel weird about it, don't you?
It feels gross. But it has the trending audio, so let's hope that. And it does nothing. It doesn't do anything. And I'm much happier at the end of the day, doing it my way.
Yeah,
and conveying it my way because people do appreciate it. It might not be 1 million people, but the however many people that are watching it on my page, even if it's one person, you are helping somebody. And that should be what drives what you do. I think you have to serve people if you want to be successful in life.
Without a doubt.
And success, I know, is defined differently, but I really, truly think you cannot go through your life without wanting to serve people. You have to figure out how can I want to serve people? You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. And at the end of the day, the older I get, the more I realize all that shit is so overrated, trying to do what other people are doing. Yeah. The FOMO is so not there for me anymore. Like, I don't care about what people are doing anymore. I mean, the only time I care is when it's affecting me negatively, but then even that is something that I have control over, Right. So it's like that thing about what I was saying about you don't get handed things that you can't handle. There's also that thing about something. If you're going through hell, it means there's something waiting on the other side that you're supposed to find.
Yeah.
Like this revelation, this success in some way or another. It's there. You just have to keep going.
Yeah.
You're rewarded by the universe when you keep going and you're not stomping on other people to get there, because that's not going forward. That's literally going backwards.
Yeah.
It's stomping on other people. It might not be going backwards, but it's definitely not going forwards.
Yeah.
It slows you down. It's like walking through mud. But to keep persisting, the only way that we can really do that, and the only way that I can get through what I'm going through now, after losing my brother, after losing my partner, after losing a lot of things, that last year I went into 2024 being like, I've lost a lot, but I've been really blaming a lot of outside circumstances. I've been really woe is me. I've been really angry, rightfully so. I had to feel these feelings.
Yeah.
But I now am in a place where I'm going to take action to move forward. And I certainly do not want to waste my time on this earth that my brother now does not have, not finding purpose in that, because I guarantee you he would not want me to just be sitting here complaining about it still.
Yeah.
Not when I have the opportunity to live my life. My brother had a brain injury from the time he was an infant, and it was not his fault. He was dealt the worst cards. He did not have an opportunity at life like most of us have.
Yeah.
Which is another reason that I'm like, no, we're not going to just sit here and keep being angry and sad and, it's all so hard. Why did this happen? Because it is hard. It's hard for a lot of people. And guess what, Sav? This isn't even like the worst of it.
Yeah.
You could have something else happen tomorrow. So what are you going to do today?
Exactly.
You're going to appreciate the people who are here, the things that you have here, the person you are now has made it through so much stuff. Can you appreciate that?
Yeah.
I mean, good God.
Hell yeah.
You've had 30 years on this earth and it could have killed you. And you're still standing here and you're still helping people and you're still trying and you're still learning and you're still open-minded. That's a lot to celebrate.
Hell yeah.
And I don't want to go through my whole life beating myself up.
And your brother's spirit remains with you. And
That's
guess
right.
what? That's going to carry with you through the rest of life.
He's guiding me.
If you sit in your ass and you're like, man, this sucks, I'm just not going to fucking keep moving forward. Well, then his spirit's still there with you. If you're progressing, he's experiencing through that in a way. I think there's something to be said about that. Like you carry your ancestors with you in a way.
Absolutely.
And
he's not the only one. I got my angels on and I was just meditating the other day. Every time I meditate lately, it's new for me, but I break down in tears and it's almost like I'm trembling And I'm not doing it to be dramatic. I'm alone, but it's definitely showing me that this is something I need to be releasing. I need to be releasing, and I need to be connecting to myself in this spiritual way. And just the other day, I think it was yesterday, I meditate every morning, no matter what time I have to be up. It's a new 2024 thing for me, and it's been awesome.
It is amazing.
It's just all about healing right now. Meditation. It's not about like seeking any kind of external, like, how can I cover up this pain? It's like, oh no, we're facing it, and it sucks. It's so hard. But all my angels were there, and they haven't been there like they were yesterday this whole time. And I'm like, this is working. If you ever try something new, like meditating or healing in general, like going to therapy, people go, oh, it's going to take forever to tell my therapist this story. And it's like, yeah, it might take them a whole year to figure out like what your story actually is and how it's affected you. But it's more so how you are talking about it that is helping you too. That's the part you're forgetting, you know, like when you refuse to go to therapy because of how long it might take to tell your story and get that across. Like, oh, I'm just wasting money. No, you're not. Also, by talking about it.
That time's going to go by regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, if you
spend it on you,
it may take a year, but.
And that's a lot of people with meditation. They're very uncomfortable sitting in silence, but
that's the thing.
Because they're scared to go too far in or like focus on themselves. But like,
or there's no point.
Meditation is not about like disconnecting. To me, like meditation is the time to go in on myself and like really pick myself apart, not in a negative way, but really understand myself on a deeper level. Yes, I do my chants and my prayers and stuff like that. But, and I can tell you about after like this, my symbolism with like bleeding it out, because blood's a big factor as far as like how I progress. I thought about it on the podcast a couple of times, but yeah, it's this whole thing to unravel. But I think I find it to be very powerful, but like finding that way, I'm glad you're doing that. I do it in the evenings, but
it's a good time to do it too.
Yeah, I do it, but right before bed because it really like. Well, and then I sleep like a little baby.
Yeah, mindfulness is what I love about it. Is it's all about awareness. It's not even like there's not supposed to be an expectation. It's like you just let it do its thing. Like what comes across is what you're going to deal with. And like a very popular. I don't love this visualization, but I get it. It's like watching a highway of traffic in your mind. So you sit down and meditate, right? And it's like whatever is going on, whatever there may be light traffic today, there may be really heavy traffic. Don't worry, just watch it, just observe it. You know, and that's what a lot of it is about. It's just. I like that. Like, don't try to stop. Don't try to resist it. Just let it pass through.
Yeah.
You know, because whenever, I don't like the car analogy as much, but like for some reason it comes up in my head as like a stream. Like I'm like standing in a stream. There's like fish going by. It's like I could grab that fish and now I'm, okay, I guess I got to do some shit. Or it's like you can just kind of let it swim by.
Gotta do some shit.
Yeah.
You got to let it swim by and now it's just gone.
Or clouds.
This book that I just got done reading called Don't Believe Everything You Think. It's the easiest read in the world. It took me less than a day. All about basically meditating but it's not what people think. It's not like sitting there with your legs crossed. It's not that. Like it's thoughts versus thinking. So when and I'm a chronic overthinker.
Detaching
like,
from your
I am
thoughts.
such an overthinker, and it has caused me so much imagined
We're all among good friends
suffering in my life that I have caused myself. But thinking is something that actually destroys us. Thoughts are not thinking. And so if you're able to let a thought come and just go.
Let it go, yeah.
That's what meditation helps you with, because when you let the thought and you stop the thought and then you're thinking about it, ruminating on it, like, okay, I have 10,000 things to do tomorrow. Oh God, I'm going out of town tomorrow. Oh God, and then you just spiral, right? Versus I have 10,000 things to do tomorrow. And then if you think about it like from a very bird's eye perspective, how many times have you had 10,000 things to do tomorrow and the world ended? Or you died, or you got super hurt because you had 10,000 things to do and you just didn't get them all done. No, never. So if you just go, I have 10,000 things to do tomorrow, they will get done. What is going on now in front of me? You know, like just being present in the moment. It's hard as shit to do. Well, it's so hard.
That's another big one that it taught me was like not identifying with your thoughts. And because it's like, and the way that I've said it before is like, it's really difficult not to identify with your thoughts because they come in your voice.
Right.
So like, let's say like people say like, you don't hate yourself. It's like something that I've heard before. Like if you have like a criticism of yourself in your brain that was put there by another voice, you're not naturally that way. And so it's like, yeah, I get the logic behind that, but like when I think that thought, I hear it in my voice.
Yeah.
And so like the way that I've said it before
that
is like
so huge.
Those demons come in your voice. So it can be very difficult to say, well, that sounds a lot like me. Sounds like my voice. It's like, yeah, but You don't have to identify with those thoughts. And when you disconnect that way, it's easier to be like, wait, that's actually more me. That's kind of was put there. That's just like a habit, a habit thought. You have certain, things that you think that you habitually think.
Mm-hmm.
You walk into a room, you start thinking about X, Y, and Z. It's like, wait, that's just a habit. That's not actually me thinking. That's just a thing that's already there. Okay, but you got to be able to step back and be like, wait.
Well, and other people will say those things out loud too about themselves. And if you're around the wrong crowd or people who are, not doing their work to not trying to better themselves, and they're like, oh, I'm so fat. Ugh, I'm so ugly. Ugh, I hate my blah, 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 blah.
I'm so old.
That will start to, if you spend enough time around people saying stuff like that out loud,
It gets in there.
you start to say it to yourself, and then you're like, what is going on? And there's people I've had to distance myself from, not hatefully, just I can't be around that because I've worked really hard not to talk to myself like that.
100%.
Really hard not to talk to myself like that.
And Jordan Peterson, one of his rules is treat yourself like someone you're responsible for caring for.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the idea with that is, like you've heard before, would you speak to your friends the way you speak to yourself? Would you
Right.
speak to your dog the way you speak to yourself? Would you speak to your husband, your wife, your whoever, the way you speak to No, you'd be like, oh my God, I would never.
Yeah.
It's like, great, so why do you do it to you?
Right.
Or you wouldn't be friends with somebody that talked to you that way.
Right.
And you know what those people say, like your friends or loved ones, when you say that to them,
They
like,
hate
would
that you talk
they're
to
like,
yeah.
"Ow." It's like, why are you scoffing at that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
love yourself. I want you to love yourself.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on, like.
100%.
I know it's hard. I know there's things that like we beat ourselves up for sometimes. I know we slip but like it's not being selfish to love yourself. If anything, it's doing everybody a favor,
Correct.
not a disservice.
Yeah.
It's selfish to think that you don't affect people in a positive way when you are being authentically you. It's selfish to think that you don't have something to bring to the table, or that you shouldn't use your voice in your own way and that you should turn into somebody else.
It's also kind of silly to think you'll be perfect because everybody knows that's impossible.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of silly when you think, you're like, damn, that wasn't perfect. It's like, well, yeah, no duh. Like, we all know that you're not perfect, yet when you're not perfect, you still beat yourself up.
Yeah.
That doesn't really.
Yeah.
And it is funny you talk about like when I was dealing with this whole, I don't even want to like name the platform anymore, but like I told Lydia, I was like, but who would even really care if like I just like, keep doing the brand, like no one cares. Like maybe in my mind, I think like I'm bringing light to the world, like more than I actually am. Like maybe it's a psychological thing, but I'm actually like, who would actually give a shit, And I went down this negative spiral. Sometimes I just have to go through that to be like, wait, Joe, you're being fucking dick to yourself, but I reflected on it. I was like, well, and then, I've seen some of the message I got from people and I'm like, you know what? No, this matters, but I'm my own worst enemy because I always tell myself nothing's good enough or you're not good enough. Like it's a thing that I'm working through
I think there's a balance
currently.
in that.
Right. Yeah.
I think both are like human.
It helps
and
you
true.
progress.
Yeah.
But there's like an unhealthy, like you got to find that divide. I
Yes.
get what you're saying. That's what I'm learning, and I'm improving at for sure.
Yeah. It's reminding yourself that like we said earlier, even if it's just one person that you're helping by,
That's all that matters.
sending the message that
You're helping somebody.
And you feel like that's something you are called to do. Even if it doesn't help anybody, if it falls on deaf ears.
Yeah.
You are growing in and of yourself, and you are putting something out there that
Exactly.
you feel compelled to put out there that is your truth.
Yep.
So there is always a point to it, whether we feel like there is or not. But every time I've done that too. We all do it.
Yeah.
Especially when we're driven people and we want to be better and we want to keep improving and we want to keep growing and we want to keep chasing discomfort and things like that. We're going to do it. But every time I've like started to spiral and go a little bit too far down in that like self-doubt kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And I was telling you, I put on Instagram, I talked about that to my followers. I was like, I'm insecure about this, and I did it anyways.
But people appreciated that.
They told me, I get it, and I appreciate you like being vulnerable because that's so relatable. But the support I got about what I'm putting out there and what I was insecure about, what I was telling them about, they
Yeah.
were like, A, we appreciate your insecurity and being vulnerable about it because it makes you a real person.
Yeah.
Because we all deal with that. And if you expose it, that's one step toward conquering it. If you hide it all the time, then, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
And two, people were like, but your content, it is awesome. Like you might not think so, but it really helps me. And that's all, that's all I needed because that's the whole point of putting content out there is helping people,
Yeah.
So, and I want you to get something out of it. Maybe that it's a perspective you haven't heard before. Maybe it is something you've heard before, but here we are. Let's be friends,
Yep.
And then the balance is restored. And I'm not saying wait for validation from other people. No. Give yourself that. I shouldn't have to wait for my followers to tell me that.
Yeah.
I should just know. And that's why I got on there and said that, because I'm like, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I did this thing. It was hard.
I'm proud of you.
Hard for me to
I
do
didn't
it.
see. I didn't see. Well, I couldn't see it, but I'm proud of you for doing it.
And that's what I wanted to say, because I want other people who are like sitting there in their head, like, I don't know about Instagram. I'm not good at this. I am only good at what I do, because that's all of us, y'all. That's literally everybody.
Yeah.
We are good at fitness. We're good at podcasts. We're good at like our jobs. And then you are like, what? Do you want me to get on here and edit this video with captions and, like the right clip and the right, matching it to the beat and what are you asking me to do? Okay, we're going to adapt. We're going to do it.
Yep.
Because the whole world's doing it and I can keep up. I can more than keep up. I can lead the charge. I can come up with a unique way to do it. And 3, we all deal with the getting in our head thing sometimes. Do it anyways.
Yeah.
That's what I always say.
Yeah, I have to get to where I don't like send the clip like that I finally make to like 6 different people and be like, "What do you think?" I just be like, "Fuck
The more
it."
people
like,
you ask, the
less likely you
further
are.
away you're gonna get from a decision.
That book you were talking about, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. One of the really nuanced things we don't have to get into because it's difficult to get into, but there's a chapter in there called "Don't Try."
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about, like with content. It's like, stop
Bukowski.
trying so hard.
He's talking about Bukowski.
Stop trying so hard. Just put
he's
it
the
out there.
only
It's obvious when people
person-
are trying too much.
And people, trust me, and doing content creation professionally for 6, however long years of this, I guess longer than that at this point, it never fails that people are shocked by like the response they get by just putting shit out there and not really trying. Like, hey guys, this is kind of what we got going on, and people are like, oh hey, well, what? It's like, yeah, look at that.
A friend of mine had less than 1,000 followers on Instagram, and he's just an older guy who quit drinking, and he got in great shape by himself. Didn't hire a trainer. He just decided he was tired of living the life he was living, and he put his story out there, and he's just this like, he's so endearing and adorable. I love him. But he put his story out there, just him standing in front of the camera. He's like, hey guys, so I used to drink a lot and I decided I got to stop doing this, and just told his story the way he's going to say it to your face. If you were talking to him at the grocery store,
Correct.
blew up.
Yep.
He has over 150,000 followers like in a day.
That's why we were talking about virality
insane.
earlier.
And I could sit there and be like, seriously? Like, hard work I'm putting in as a coach and as an athlete and trying to, but no, I am so thrilled for him because he is completely himself.
Yeah.
And he just wants,
Good for him.
and now he's really into it, and he's putting out products, recipes. He's not trying to be anybody else but who he is.
Yeah.
He's not trying to be an expert. He's not using big words. He's not trying to like go, well, now I'm a trainer and I'm going to specialize in mobility and I'm going to specialize in, strength and conditioning for this type of app. No. He's like, I got in shape. Hey guys, this is a really fun workout. It really blasted my chest and my triceps. Check it out.
Hell yeah.
He's awesome. He deserves every ounce of success that he has.
100%.
Because he's not trying.
Yep.
He's just being who he is.
being real.
And that's like in that book, he's talking about Bukowski, Charles Bukowski. And he's a deadbeat and a
Oh yeah, because I remember
he
that.
sucks,
now. Yeah,
but he
yeah,
became one of the most famous authors of our time.
Yeah.
And it's because he wasn't trying to be anyone other than himself, and somebody noticed his talent, and he didn't lie about who he was.
I think he was like a drunk or something. Like he would drink a lot when he wrote or something, and he like never went anywhere. He was like very later in his life. Randomly.
he was like horrible, you know. But
when you think about all the artists, all the Picassos and Van Goghs, people that weren't famous when they were alive, it's like, well, do you think they gave a shit? They just kept doing their thing, and look at it now.
Right. And I'm not saying like be a horrible person, because like that shouldn't give you a permission slip to go be an asshole to people. But like, definitely be yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you have it on
Don't
the board
try to
over
be
here right
anything
now.
other than who you are.
I like what you have on the board over there right now. They can't really see it, but at the bottom it says, "Stay true to yourself, and good things will come."
Oh yeah, so I pull every week. I pull a rune when I do I meditate every week, but every Sunday night or Monday night I do a ritual, and I do my chants and whatnot, and then I go really internal. But I draw a different rune, and it's wild that I picked Daga's.
I thought you picked that after that happened. That's
No,
crazy.
I picked it, and it was said, it talks about it means day or dawn, but it has a lot of different meaning, like breakthrough, radical change, change of direction, prosperity, achievement. And it says, we'll bring clarity through will bring clarity and life, abundance, and breakthrough. But also use it to stay true to yourself. Good things will come. And I was just like, man, that's like so crazy that like, and it's just wild how like, I mean, to me, that's magic. It's all very spiritual. And I was going to tell you too, like with the meditation thing, like one thing I do, it's like not really typical of most.
Any advice you have is
well, I mean, you may not want to do this because I'm
open.
I look at it from my spiritual path and everything, and with my brothers and all that. But like, I got a special blade. Like, I got my altar and I got a special blade, and I'll cut my arm a few times. And like,
you are into it.
I'm not like trying to hurt myself.
Hey, do you?
But,
do you?
Blood is just a beautiful symbolism. I mean, it's holy, and that one drop can be traced all the way back to the very beginning of who you are.
Yeah.
And what's cool about it is that like that's how I symbolically release things, right? So like you talk about things come flowing through you and like different maybe negative thoughts, or maybe you do have some negative habits or tendencies that you want to rid yourself of. Mm-hmm. You know, I'll reflect on those things at the beginning of the week, and I'll be like, symbolically, I bleed that out. Like I'm like, all right, and I'll put it on my altar, you know, like wipe it off, and I'll rub it on my altar, and like that's also like my sacrifice to God.
Hey,
you know, and
I love that because everyone's gonna have a way of doing it that speaks to them.
Well, you hear about people writing down something on a piece of paper that they want out of their life,
and
they burn it. It's the same thing as that. To me, it's just like a different type of symbolism that like I connect with a little bit more. But yeah, so that's just something I do, like a weekly practice that matters to me, and it does have a massive effect on like, you know, everything ahead. But it like
absolutely
question time.
Everybody's got their like, I don't know. Find what works for you. I want to talk on the meditation thing for a second, just because like a lot of people think you're supposed to do a certain way, or you're supposed to download some app and listen to the voices. Just sit in silence and just like work through it. You know, maybe set a timer if you have to, but just like see what happens, and then do it every day, you know, over time. And then like as you grow on your little meditation path, you'll figure out what works for you, you know, and it'll come to you, and you have your own specific practice. The more you're thinking
about what you're supposed to do, I think the less you're going to get
there. Don't try.
Same thing with fitness. If like this prescribed diet and training program is going to work for this person, may not work for you. Same thing with meditation. Everybody's got on their own journey. So figure that out.
I would probably like when it comes to that kind of thing too, like if you're looking at someone else and you're like, I want to look exactly like that person, so I'm going to exactly to a T follow their exact program. It's going to completely backfire every time.
Damn it.
Like that's the opposite of what you should do. If you want to look anything remotely close to that person, you should just stop trying to look like anybody, first of all. And like people don't, I think the unknown and uncertainty of like what you could get out of fitness, even like what you would look like if you were in the best shape of your life, or you were the best bodybuilder, like, because since we're talking about aesthetics in this example, not everybody's chasing that.
Yeah.
But say you are, and say that's important to you. Not having a visual in your mind of what your body would look like if you got into super good shape bodybuilding is what stops people. And that's why we go toward, I want Michelle Obama's arms. And it's like, I literally told myself that for a long time. It's like, I want Michelle Obama arms because she has great arms.
Margaret came home last night. She has a drawing class she's taking. Long story short, she has like a 3-hour long drawing class. So like they take their time doing all this other shit. Point being is that they did blind drawings, right? So you're looking at the cam, but you're drawing, you're not looking at what you're drawing. Cool. And then they did like semi-blind, where you would draw something, you can't look while you're drawing, but then you can look at it as a reference, right? And she was like showing me what she drew, and like the first two she pulled out, I was like, that's can't remember what it was now, but I got it right. The second one was like a rocking horse, and she was like mind blown and then she pulled out the one that was semi-blind, looked nothing like what she was trying to draw. Wow. And I was like, that's pretty fascinating if you think about it, because like when you're not paying attention, when you're not critiquing yourself, like, oh, that line's not perfect, that line, it actually came out much more like what you were trying to draw.
Interesting.
Than whenever you were watching each line it's kind of like the don't try thing. It's like, oh, draw the can. Okay. Boom, boom. It's like, it's not great, but it looks like a can. Okay. Draw the can by looking at it. And then it turns out the blind one is better.
Yeah.
It's weird, but it's because you're not critiquing yourself every step of the way.
That's interesting. Huh.
That is interesting.
I'm going to practice this one day.
I want to too.
It's pretty odd. I mean, I did, as soon as she showed me, I was like, there's a rocking horse. She was like, how the, and I'm like, I don't know. It looks like a rocking horse to me. Like you can see what she was going for.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
But
wild.
versus the other one, she's like, you're trying to make every step perfect, every line on the thing, and then with the P, and it's like, you know, you just kind of throw a P on there. It's like, I pretty much get it. You know?
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just interesting.
Well, we are at the end of this.
Cool.
Although we could keep freaking talking, which means, Savannah, you've got to come back.
Obviously.
Never a bad thing.
Well, we're just friends having a conversation.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
I wish more people just casually had these types of conversations instead of like, oh, the weather. What are you doing this week? You know?
Well, I do got to throw this in there. It's also been really hard for me. It's hard for me to have surface level conversations with people. Like if people won't go past surface level, then I'm like uninterested.
Yeah.
Like I'll find
Super boring.
I'll go stand in the corner by myself
think
and just think
about
about shit because I'll find a lot more interest there
yeah.
than like talking about the game because I don't even watch sports. So, but what I'm getting at is like, I can do that to a degree, but if we never break the barrier, then I'm like, it's nothing against you, but like if you're not willing to go a little deeper in conversation,
I don't think we're gonna hang out, man.
yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know.
Nice guy.
So that's
We'll see
I
you
love
later.
this podcast so much because like it's consistently just like going into these kinds of conversations. So it's a lot of
Violent and
fun.
dangerous, baby. That's what we're about.
Oh yeah.
But I do have to ask. I got a question for you
up?
and you can answer in two different ways, both professionally and as a person. But what is your relentless pursuit?
That's a great question. I think in both areas of my life, because I'm still coming out of this hard year of, it's a transitional time, but that's kind of what I'm figuring out at the moment. At the end of the day, I want to make an impact with who I am, not necessarily what I do all the time, because what I do should have who I am coming out in what I do. But I want to impact people, and I want to see myself bigger than I have my whole life, because I think I put myself in a small box and been like, I'm cool with it. Like we kind of talked about earlier. I'm not cool with it anymore. I have more to do. I want to adventure. And I think my relentless pursuit, truly, even though it's vague and not specific yet, is to live my life with my brother coming everywhere with me. I want to see the world. I'm going to climb Kilimanjaro in May on my birthday. And
Very nice.
I can't wait to bring my brother with me.
Yeah.
My brother was such a helper in the world, and he wanted to help specifically like children and elderly people and animals, all the things that are innocent and don't have the voice to speak up for themselves. I want to be a voice to help those people, or at least help them elevate those voices. And I want to be someone with that kind of power and spread that to more people. I just want to make a positive impact.
I think that's a beautiful answer.
Thank you.
Very well said.
Thank you.
And I love that. And you know
I'll
what?
get specific on it as I go.
No,
but-
and I think, you know, that's another reason. Like I said, the conversation is great. So obviously we would love to have you back. And you are in a specific place where you're like on this self-discovery thing, and you're always going to be growing, but
there's a purpose there. I'm just being patient with the universe.
Yeah.
It's going to show me.
so, but down the road, you're going to be in a totally different position, right?
Totally.
You know, you're still going to be growing
Yeah.
and discovering things about yourself, but you're going to like transform quite a bit not too long from now. So we'll just have to bring you back when you've weaved your way through some things.
Oh, I can't
Hear
wait
about
to
the
tell you
mountain,
everything at that point.
And the mountain and some
Yeah.
traveling and all
Love
that
to hear
shit.
about
Check
So-
out what my life has become.
Hell yeah.
Because
Well-
we got to manifest those things.
I like it.
Well, we're excited. Savannah, it was great having you on. Thank you for
been my
gracing
honor.
us with your presence. This was a blast.
I could cry with gratitude.
Hell yeah.
Thank
Me too.
you. I
We'll
am
cry
so
after the
honored to be
cameras
here.
go off.
You guys are amazing. So
We'll put the big
Likewise.
cross sesh on Patreon. This is a big old sauce. Oh shit.
Thank you for being here, and until
you
next
guys
time,
next time.
guys.
That's it.